I guess you could say that I'm a bit of a misanthrope. Yeah, no, that's not quite right. I'm not just misanthropic, I actually hate people. Like, almost all people. I think that's what drew me so strongly to internet forums starting in the early 2000s. I'm painfully shy and introverted, and not in a cute, nerdy, hipster girl kind of way, in a basement dweller kind of way. And I found that I could never open my mouth long enough to make real life friends. Pathetic, huh? Fortunately, the internet was already in existence when I got my own computer, and I found a site that fit me well. For anonymity's sake, I won't post the name here. It's still around all these years later, believe it or not. But we'll call it Body Thought. Now, Body Thought was a great site because everyone on it was as cynical and spiteful as I am. Actually, most people were even worse. On that site, I was considered nice and relatively friendly. Two words that had never ever been ascribed to me. And I found that I liked that new identity. So I stayed on and started making some friends. The first friend I ever made on there went by the screen name Conservative Nightmare. He was a blue state Republican and enjoyed trolling the shit out of people. It's funny, I never thought of trolling as an art before I met him. He could turn the most level-headed BT user into a screaming maniac with a few well-placed comments. It was as admirable as it was reprehensible. He and I got along well. Then there was My Gloves. She posts mostly about the woes of being in college and attempting to interact with people. She really made me glad that I had a single when I was in the dorms. Whenever I see her going through a rough time, I always think I'll reach out to her. But what could I do? Other than make things exponentially worse, of course. So, I stay quiet. Bloody Heart is the only other person I'd say I'm close to. He lives in my same state and constantly wants to get together, which would be great and all if I ever ventured out of my room. He constantly comes to me for girl advice, as though someone like me knows anything about relationships and girls. He's the eternal optimist. I both envy that and despise that. Okay, so what's the point of telling you this? The point is that people online are just that. People. It's easy to think of them as two-dimensional characters floating around in your life, but in reality, they all have their own lives and existences outside of your own. Most of the time, these existences don't usually intersect, and you can go on pretending that they're just an avatar somewhere out in the space of the internet. Other times, though, the intersections are unavoidable, and the results can be disastrous. When Buddy Thought was still popular and lively, it's died down considerably since its heyday, there was a thread that everyone posted in. They called it You As You Are. It's exactly what it sounds like. You take a picture of yourself doing whatever it is you're doing and post it to that site. It was abused terribly by the beautiful girls on the site, with their perfect makeup and eyebrows and dresses. Still, even I would post from time to time. There was one guy, though, who never posted pictures of himself. His screen name was Drunken Ninja, and he was definitely a weird kid. His posts were half indiscernible nonsense, and he spent most of his time on the site spewing non sequiturs. Whenever he posted in You As You Are, or Yaya for short, he would post pictures that were so blurry you had no idea what they were showing. To be perfectly honest, he kind of freaked me out a little bit. Most of the time I ignored him, but there was a short period of about 3 weeks a year ago in which Drunken Ninja would send me random private messages. They didn't really contain anything noteworthy, and I always assumed he sent them while he was, well, plastered. He'd ramble on about nothingness, maybe send a weird picture or two, ask me a question about myself. I never answered. Word got out on the site that he was messaging me, and the other BTers teased me relentlessly, which is also how I found out that he never messaged anyone but me. Father Mucker posted that gif of a girl getting hit in the mouth by 20 hot dogs every time I commented on anything. Hippogriff 2.0 started a mashup of our names, Sleepy Ninja. Psycho told everyone to knock it off, and came to my aid with a terrifying vehemence. None of the teasing bothered me. No, the only thing that bothered me were those weird messages. Eventually, I sort of blew a gasket. Now, I'm pretty mild-mannered, and I rarely confront anybody. I hate any kind of confrontation, but when someone just won't leave me alone, well, I get angry. And when I get angry, I make impulsive decisions. So, I impulsively answered one of Drunken Ninja's messages and told him to go fuck himself with a cactus. Then I blocked him from my inbox. I almost felt bad about it, but with the end of his messages came immeasurable relief, and I couldn't bring myself to feel too guilty. I mean, he pretty much had it coming, right? For a while, everything was fine. I suppose that's because it's always calmest in the eye of the storm. When I saw that someone had posted in the Yaya thread, I wasn't concerned. When I saw it was Drunken Ninja, I still wasn't concerned. When I saw the picture he had posted, however, I started to worry. It was an arm, which by itself should have been wholly unremarkable. No. It was the fact that he carved Sleepy into it with a box cutter that gave me pause. I didn't like that. Not one bit. Conservative Nightmare immediately texted me. He's the only one who has my number, and asked, "What the fuck is wrong with Drunken Ninja?" I didn't answer instinctively. I refreshed the page, only to find that he'd posted another picture. This one was of his right hand. He had 4 fingers, and then a bloody stump where his thumb should have been. Oh God. Apparently the mods hadn't noticed yet, because they hadn't locked down the thread or deleted his posts. As if in a trance, I kept refreshing. He only ever posted one more picture. For the first time in my life, I got to see his face. His shaggy brown hair and the sort of droopy insanity to his eyes. He was smiling at the camera, the twist of his lips just a little lopsided. A deep red gash ran across his throat like a swath of lipstick, but the bloody knife in his hand told a different story. I logged out of BT and screamed until my RA called campus security. A few days later, I got to learn Drunken Ninja's real name. The mods made an announcement after deleting the Yaya thread. The news story they posted described a young man who had mutilated himself and taken his own life. The word Sleepy inscribed on his arm had been causing officials much confusion, although that would eventually be chalked up to the ravings of a lunatic. Out of respect for me, nobody talked about him on the site anymore. At least not publicly. You know, it's funny. I thought about leaving the site after that, but I just couldn't. See, it was the only way I felt connected with the outside world. Take that away, and I'd feel alone, like I once did. Only this time I'd always be looking over my shoulder for Drunken Ninja, even if he was dead as a doornail. That was a few years ago now, and most people have forgotten all about Drunken Ninja. It's amazing what somebody can forget when they want to. Life went back to normal on BT, and although the site is withering away, the Yaya thread is as popular as ever. Even I still participate. It hasn't bothered me for quite some time. Until today, when I looked at the thread list and saw that the last person to comment on Yaya was Drunken Ninja. I'm still too scared to look and see what it posted.